Well, it's New Year's Eve.
Yes, we're on our way out. We don't know where because we can't really go out.
We're just in the car because that's part of our isolation bubble. Anyway, we digress. We're working on the railroad.
Right.
Is what we're really doing. That's what we're doing for the new year and for every day, for that matter.
Yeah.
And our progress continues on the logging railroad.
Oh, that's fun.
And we took that down to do some carpentry work on it. It sits up above and
kick the spiders out.
There literally was a spider colony living in one of the trees.
Yes.
But we haven't been working on it. This was actually the very, very first part of the railroad.
Right.
And so we're kind of getting back to that, mostly because I wanted to finish up all the bench work to get rid of the pile of wood so that we can park a car inside.
Isn't it amazing parking a car in there finally?
But once I got the bench work done and all the carpentry done and the pile of wood diminished, it was like, I forgot how cool this logging railroad is.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've been kind of working on that. And we'll probably keep working on it for a couple of weeks until we're ready to put it back up on top.
There's work to be done.
Hopefully by then we'll actually have track and everything. We can run trains back.
There you go.
So anyway, check out the logging railroad. Back to the old logging railroad. Well, for the last little while, we've been working on the Chamacoline Tower.
Oh, it's been challenging.
And it's been glossy, and I've been looking for Tester's Dull Coat.
That was too funny.
Yeah, you found some.
I found some, but only after you bought a couple of cans of just like flat spray paint. And I'm like, don't buy that. Please don't buy that. It won't work. And you're giving me the stink eye.
Well,
Merry Christmas.
I'm glad it's still around. And I'm glad you were able to find a bunch of it. But this is part of that project. Here are the coal bins, the coal buckets, rather. Right. And I've been assembling, and I finally got paint on them and the first amount of weather. And I liked what was happening with the streaks and the rust color. And then back over to the paint booth because I wanted to lighten up the color. And then I got finally the coal dust on there.
Hey, look at that.
And boy, it's like these are really coming to life. And little coal down inside. One of them is about half full with coal, will be about half full with coal, and then the other one is like this. It's empty, but there's detritus.
As always with coal.
Yeah, so there's filth everywhere. And I'm really happy with the way this is coming together. But when I posted pictures to Facebook, a good friend, David Litchell, said, there's not enough damage here.
Right.
Turn Karyn loose on it and have her beat it with a chain.
Goodness. I mean, what am I going to use? A necklace?
That's what it would take. But Jason Jensen Trains has this technique on his channel, and I was dying to try it. And Steve said, you got to try it. Number 2 pencil, and you just drag it along the edges, the exposed edges where you would think that the silver metal would be coming through the rust. And look at that.
That's what?
First of all, it takes all of, 20 seconds. You can control it completely because it's a sharp pencil and you can just get right down into the crevices. And you don't think of a pencil as being shiny silver, but the good graphite soft ones are.
Well, they sure are. Look at that.
And doesn't that look amazing?
Wow.
And it was so simple to do. And that looks exactly like an exposed metal edge where the coal has been banging this and scraping away the rust.
What are we building here, an observatory?
Yeah, it looks sort of like a concrete art deco. This is Steve's mock-up for the sand house.
Huh?
Well, he's building the sand house to go next to the coaling tower. Here's the actual sand house. He made one out of styrofoam so we could test fit it to make sure it's going to fit before he puts all this work into the actual building.
Oh my goodness, that's neat.
So he's just matching now the styrofoam mock-up with the actual wood building, and isn't that amazing?
That's really cool.
He's also building us a truck.
I know, I love that truck.
Yeah, he's kind of waylaid this while he works on the sand house. He's making this out of 2 monogram 24 scale Mack trucks.
Well, that's neat.
It's not really, it's not a C cab anymore. It's not a 4-cylinder anymore. He's just changed it around so much. But isn't that just amazing what he's doing? Cool. And we just have to figure, is that going to be at the engine shop? But I'm thinking it might be on the muddy road over in the Big Canyon.
That could work.
Because it would be, you would find something like this on a muddy road in a big canyon.
Right.
But it's really looking amazing. He's really doing a bang-up job on this.
That's neat.
And as we said, we're actually working on the logging railroad.
Right.
It's 3 sections, and it lives up above the game room, actually.
Yes.
But I wanted to finish up all this carpentry just to get rid of the wood, which has been in the way, and we can't park 2 cars in here with the wood in the way. So I brought all of the pieces down and started finishing up the carpentry, and then my plan was just to put it back up now that the wood is out of the way. But as these things go, it's like, well, now wait, no, let's just do a little scenery.
Yes.
A little scenery before putting it back up on top. And the plan all along was to use these urethane castings from the 1970s, 80s?
Really?
Mountains in Minutes. This was the rage back then. Make all your scenery out of urethane foam. And we found some of those on eBay, and then you made some.
Oh, that was my contribution, and I'll tell you, I'm not sure if it looks like rocks or something else.
Well, it looks a little like poo, but it's going to get used.
Pun intended.
The bottom part of this is this extruded styrofoam, not styrofoam, extruded styrene insulation board that everybody's using now. This is the big rage now. And I bought one of these cutting tools, and the wire head for this thing works brilliantly. The saw head, brilliant, and this saw head don't come in. Well, it doesn't generate enough heat to do what it needs to do. It does generate enough heat to melt itself. So after really struggling to cut this one little section out, I went back to the buck saw.
There you go.
Basic, it makes a big mess and it goes all over the place, but it stinks a lot less and it gets the job done. So I'm just tearing out with the saw these sections like this and then custom fitting the different pieces of urethane rock casting.
That's looking good.
Yeah, it's sort of like building a jigsaw puzzle, except you get to cut out the jigsaw pieces.
That's like any rock work.
Well, and the key is to follow the lines in the rock, because rock breaks in a certain way, and that way it doesn't look like you've just put this together out of, bathroom tiles. It looks like actual rocks.
Right.
And you want to find the natural contours and where rock would be coming through and where it wouldn't be coming through. And once we get the earthen stuff on here and the vegetation, that should look great. Now here we have the third section, the original section, which is mostly done.
Right. That goes back a few years.
Boy, does that go back a few years. And this was all built by Steve. I painted the backdrop, but Steve built the shelf and the track work. And this was really the inspiration for having a logging line up in the mountains in the first place.
Those are cool.
So he just donated it.
Nice.
But he's done such a great job here, and the goal is to match what he has done so that it all feels like one railroad. And that's just the trick here is just figure out what he did, and fortunately we have him to talk to about it. He can say, I did it this way, so we're just doing that. So now comes the time to glue the rock in place.
Aye.
And after trying a whole lot of different glues in the past, this foam board adhesive by Loctite, the blue stuff. First, I like the smell for some reason, but it's easy to work with.
What? Oh boy!
It does the job, because some of these glues will attack the extruded styrene. Nothing will attack the urethane. That stuff's indestructible. But then just glue it in place with that. And then what I'm doing is tacking it in place with these long finish nails, which are just temporary.
I'll just hold it in place.
They just nicely hold everything in place and hold the glue nice and tight. And then once the glue is set, I can just come by here with a pair of pliers and pull them all out.
Well, that's wonderful. I didn't even see any smoke or anything.
Nope. It works just fine. And I've done this in the past. I did this on my N-scale railroad, built it the exact same way, because back in the 70s, this was the rage, was do everything out of urethane. We didn't have the extruded styrofoam back then. Not styrofoam. It isn't styrofoam. It's extruded styrene.
It's purple.
It's purple and pink and blue and all these colors, but this is the rage now. This is how everybody's building, but they're not typically using the old urethane rock castings. But if you look on eBay, you can still find some of these mountains in minutes urethane rock castings. And the goal here was to keep it from weighing anything, because I got to be able to lift this whole thing back up on top.
Which may be another show in and of itself.
Now, that crack right there, I was trying to find someone to blame, but I decided that's San Andreas' fault.
Oh boy.
So, where I have to have a seam here to tie the two things together, I'm just making it look like a fault crack.
That would make it an abutment crack.
Yeah. No, it's a fault crack.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Not that kind of crack. A fault crack. Are you cracking up? We've lost her. She's cracking up.
Going back.
Now, come on. This is serious business.
Yeah, it sure is.
Back on task. So anyway, I wanted to add in one of Al's trees here, mostly just because I was dying to see how it was going to look.
Well, that looks wonderful.
So I grabbed one of Al's trees that he made back for us years ago before he passed away, and boy, does that bring the rockwork and everything to life. And I also need to set a piece of track in here and maybe even some equipment, because it's really easy to lose track of the scale of this. And it's like, oh, I'm back making my end scale layout. No, this is somewhat larger than that.
It is.
And that rock face is really just something that a healthy young man could climb over in 3 steps. It isn't all that big when you get right down to it. So I brought in a log car here as well from the West Side Lumber Company, just again so that I could get a sense of what the actual scale is here. Going forward, so I don't make something that looks ridiculous when I bring the trains in.
Right.
Now, my goal is to use the rock castings that you did behind the track over there with some cribbing and stuff, but I have to make sure I have the full 8 inches of clearance so that the trains can fit down through here, and that's another reason why I wanted to set some of this equipment in place. That's that log you made.
Oh, is that my log?
That's the, excuse me.
Here we go again.
Here we go. That is the log you made for the railroad. And doesn't it look nice? And I brought in another one of Al's trees, just again because I'm inspired and having fun. Well, there's the logging railroad.
Isn't that fun?
And we're going to be working tonight for the new year on making ties.
We might as well. It can't do anything else.
That's our version of tie one on for the new year.
Yeah, be off track this time.
We're not teetotalers, but we're pretty darn close.
About as close as you can get.
So we'll just be, our version of tying one on is we're making railroad ties tonight. Because for the logging railroad, they're going to be very oddball, log-based, gnarly ties. So this should be fun. This should be well, if you haven't been over to the channel, do pop over to the channel, and if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. And the easy way to do that, the blue button. Are we ready?
So
right there, the blue button. Well, we're not sure how you found this video on the internet, and we hope you didn't find it boring, and we will see you on Tuesday next year.
That's right. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year with some screwing around that way. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye.